If you are a godly man, you are definitely going to have an intimidating calmness to some of the women out here. And I want to talk about today how your intimidating calmness affects women and how you can use this intimidating calmness to break love spells, because there are a lot of different kinds of love spells that can occur. And this is something that has come up recently, not just with somebody in the Regal Change Academy, but also with other people that I've been talking to. It's like not necessarily online, but in the community, talking about how there's like this woman that has this drawing effect to him, and she's drawn to him and he's drawn to her, and he doesn't exactly know what that is. And well, there's a few things that could be. Number one, it could be that obviously you guys are potential mates, right? But also the flip side is that you might be drawn to her based off of her presence and who she is as a person. I've met many witches, and maybe they don't think of themselves as witches, but they're basically Jezebels that have this drawing effect. They draw you in a weird way. And what that really is just a vortex of confusion. It's not anything that you think it is. You might think of it as love, but it's actually lust. And love is a fleeting emotion, and it's not to say that godly men cannot feel this, obviously, but your stoicism and your calmness is going to be what draws a woman like that to you, because you're going to have this overwhelming amount of calmness to you. And if you're trying to get to the next level in life, this is also going to be something that plays a factor. Because if you're getting to the next level in life, you're moving up, but then all of a sudden this Jezebel comes into your life. It's almost like the devil sends this Jezebel your way so that you can be sucked back into the darkness and move away from the path that goes to the light that you were actually going on. And God will actually allow this, which is really interesting, right? Why does God allow this kind of behavior? Well, it's because he wants to see if you're actually who you say you are. It's because he wants to see that, okay, well, this is who you think you are. Now, are you really that person? Do you have the perspicacity to actually be that person? Do you have the wherewithal to be that person? Do you have the diligence and the discipline to be that person? As a godly man, we're going to be tested all the time. It's just the nature of who we are as men. And so as we go forward in this life, and as we become more godly, we're going to become more tested as well. We're going to become more framed in a certain way, not just within ourselves, but with other people. People are going to look at you a certain way, especially if you have a stoic calmness about you. And this is intimidating to some of the Jezebels out here. And before I go into more detail with that, I want to talk a little bit more about love spells and what a love spell actually is. A love spell is legitimately a dark form of magic, okay? And witches and sorcerers use this kind of stuff. They don't always know that that's what they're doing, right? Because everything in this world is very spiritual, okay? There's a very nuanced way to look at the world, and there's a very particular way that you can view the world as well. But each of these have the same series of events, but looked at in different ways. But the nuanced version, I think, would be more beneficial. And it's also true. like nuanced perspectives are usually more true for some reason. I don't exactly know why that is. I have my theories, but we can set that aside for now. So the love spell ultimately is a woman when she's trying to attach her energy to yours or attach your energy to herself. She's going to use you as a form of life force. I've had women in the past where it was so bizarre when I had that drawing feeling that this other guy was talking about. And I've talked to other men in my consultations where they've had a similar feeling as well, but not too often. And it seems to happen to the men that are most emotionally intelligent. And it's almost like it's like this obstacle that they have to overcome to really get to the next level. And so these men that are really emotionally intelligent have to go through this because they have to develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and be able to articulate themselves at a deeper level and understand themselves at a deeper level. So their vision of what reality is not necessarily always going to align with what it is that is actually happening. So they may feel drawn to this woman from the heart, but what that is a woman's love spell that she's trying to use any form of seduction she can, verbally, psychologically, etc., to put on this act that she is the sugar and spice and all things nice that you want to believe that she is. Many women I've seen have put on this amazing act, and some have even, like some of these women out here, there's a couple that deserve an Oscar or an Academy Award or whatever. Like, they are really good actresses, very good. And you know, there's been women that have been, I've been so pissed off. And it's not like I'm pissed off at women, it's just that one particular woman, because she can fool everybody else and she's not fooling me. And I'm looking at all these suckers and I'm like, that is one straight up demon, man. That is one straight up demon. And she's putting on this smile that's just so freaking fake. And it's just so disgustingly pernicious and insidious in the way that she's seducing all these men. It's like some of these women out here literally get a kick and get off on making you aroused and then leaving you behind. And that's what this woman does with a lot of these men. She'll talk to them in a way where it's very sexual. It's very, it's a very innuendo-based conversation. Ooh, you're going longer? That kind of stuff, okay? So it's like she's enticing you, and she's what she really is when she's saying that, she's not necessarily, she's doing multiple things. She's manipulating you into believing like, okay, you're going longer. Okay, well, that has multiple meanings and innuendos, right? So obviously you're going longer with your genitalia, you're going longer in the bedroom, but guess what else you're going longer? Falling into her illusions. So she's projecting what she wants to see happen onto you and onto your mind, and you're allowing it to happen because you think to yourself, wow, this is amazing. There's this beautiful, attractive girl that likes to be sexual with me, that is showing me some interest. But meanwhile, she's the one in control. You're not leading that. And that's what so many of these men don't get. So many of these men, it's like, oh my gosh, you guys are suckers, man. Y'all are suckers. But I'm not gonna judge you too much because I know what it's like to be in that situation. I was in my simp days as well. I was never always this way, let's say that. It's kind of a funny way to put it, but that's the truth. And you know, some of these women out here, it's been said that this is another form of dark magic, is that, that was a weird noise, they'll use and put, I'm just gonna go out here and say it, okay? They'll take their vaginal juices and they'll put it on their neck or their wrist, and it's designed to, it's supposed to anyway, as it's a form of magic that can enhance the pheromones and to really draw in the sexual life force of a man that is weak and that is not disciplined sexually. Okay, But why does why is your calmness intimidating to these kinds of women? Because you can see through this. Your calmness is based in your personal relationship to God. Therefore, when you have the ability to see through the BS that this woman is putting you through, when things are just too weird, right? It's just too crazy. Like, there's too many tests. Now, I don't necessarily want a woman that is unable to counsel me and that is unable to shit test me, right? What exactly is a shit test? Well, a shit test is basically testing your confidence. Like, I had a woman where I went over to her, and I didn't even realize it was a shit test until after the conversation. That's how natural it can be once you get to a certain point. But I went up to her and I said, "Look, I've noticed you've been noticing me." And she was like, "Well, you think I'm noticing you." So she's trying to, make me doubt myself. And it was a playful thing, and I just said, "Yeah, I think so. I really do." And she was well, what was I doing in that instance? I was making a connection by making her feel heard, and by mirroring her in some way, mirroring her words. But also I was actually standing my ground. So number one, I was making a connection. Number two, I was standing my ground. And it's not necessarily that you need to make a connection before you stand your ground. That's not what I'm saying. But standing your ground was the icing on the cake in that instance, because what women really want when it comes to that kind of stuff is just a connection. They just want that. They just want that connection. They don't necessarily need to be like brute force. Like, they don't need to see that brute force side of you necessarily. They simply need to make sure that they can feel safe and that they can feel a connection to you. And of course, like, it's not to say that the backbone doesn't come up down the line, but like your strength and testing your strength, because that's what a shit test is, right? But it's more to say that in the initial stages, that's what's going to be most important. So that's why your calmness is intimidating to some of these women. And that's why your calmness is not going to necessarily be, a problem for truly godly women that are warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women, the wives, as I say. So those kinds of women, the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women, are going to be way more relaxed. They're going to actually mirror you as well. They're going to be on their best behavior, and they're not necessarily going to be intimidated by it. They might be nervous, and that's okay, because I don't want a woman that is like too confident. Like, have you guys ever been around a woman that's too confident? Holy crap. Too opinionated? It's like, okay, we're done here. We're done. Like, this is like talking to another man. It's just, you might be hot, but you're just a dude, like in a hot girl's body, basically. And so I've had to turn down some women for that, but ultimately, what you want to pay attention to is her character. How is she behaving? Is she actually because if she's a little bit nervous, then that's okay, because that tells me that she either likes me or she isn't necessarily talking to a lot of guys like me. But if she's too anxious, then that tells me that she's talking to other guys already. Because when you're what I've seen in women is when they're too anxious, when they're super anxious, and they're like flighty, and they're like always trying to talk to men, their insides, their internals are completely off. Like, they don't have the self-esteem and the self-confidence that they might project. Even if their posture looks good, even if they have this aura about them, it's still not going to be the same kind of energy. Okay, so A woman that is a little bit nervous but is in herself, she is aware of herself, she has self-awareness, that's what you're going to be looking for. That's what's going to be most important. But even then, you got to be able to still vet, like, how does she behave, not just around you, but around other people. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.